Hey everybody, it's Dave with No Chaser, and well, you know what? I hope all you are doing well. I'm doing pretty good myself. I'm 50 some days clean and sober. One of the many reasons that I gotta really super do it this time is because my sobriety date is April Fool's, which is awesome. But I feel pretty good. I'm maybe not quite where I want to be, and that's okay. In a lot of ways, I'm kind of like my facial hair right now. It's not stubble or a 5 o'clock shadow. It's definitely not a beard, but it's growing. It's getting somewhere. Anyways, today's topic is about the ultimate battle between willpower and addiction, and I'll tell you what, it's pretty much an unfair fight. Of the many things and experiences that alcoholics and addicts share, there's one that I think has got to be like near universal, like something that goes on in the mind, at least once. And it kind of goes something like this, where, you're in your addiction and stuff's maybe kind of happening around you, like, some consequences just within your life. It could be anything. Or you know what? Maybe not external things, but internal things. You feel ragged and you're not super not liking where you're at, not kind of. And, maybe just even really unprompted, you just say to yourself, self, I'm not doing this. This has gone too far. I don't like where this is going, and I don't really know how much, like, worse it's going to get, and I don't want to find out. You know what? I'm done. I'm putting down the bottle or the pipe or the whatever, we as a committee of one are not doing this anymore. Super serious. You don't even know how serious I am. We're not doing this anymore. 20 minutes later, you're doing it. Or, and maybe not that immediate, but like, truthfully, the experience I'm talking about is like making an earnest promise to yourself. That's one of the things. Not just kind of like, I don't know, maybe lying to yourself, I guess, I get, in a way, trying to convince others, saying it, but maybe inside not meaning it. But I'm talking about, like, just, something to yourself. Again, really, like, speaking to yourself, saying, we aren't doing this. I don't care how much I want to do it. I know it's going to be tough, but we're not doing it. Now, starting now. And then maybe a couple days pass and, you just watch in real time, like cotton candy in a shower. Just that willpower just crumbles and melts and dissolves and it's gone, baby. Gone, baby, gone willpower. And, what I mentioned earlier about willpower versus addiction and how it's super like an unfair fight is that addiction in a lot of ways is like the disease of willpower in a sense. Like it is just because if you think about how people define willpower, or the characteristics of it, it's delayed gratification. It's being able to put up with, discomfort for some cause or reason. It's having visibility on long-term goals, being able to kind of grasp them and, put forth certain things that you just don't want to do or maybe difficult or you don't know how to do, learning. It could be learning something. Just basically one of the key things, though, is that first thing I mentioned where delayed gratification. And man, that is anathema to addiction. That is in a way almost the whole problem, or at least one of the main problems of addiction is that delayed gratification. And some I had heard or read, probably more like heard, somewhere, some scientist guy, he was talking about of the many things that humans and the mouses in their lab have in common. One of the common things is like for the all these studies on the mouse and then the studies on the human, what they learned is a really, really good way to train humans is, it was once thought of like give them a better reward. The reward isn't that the big thing to train people? Sort of positive reinforcement. And what he had uncovered, and what a lot of people have uncovered over time studying this, is that it's not just about the reward. And sometimes it's even more so about the quickness to which you get a reward. You could get people more hooked or more driven or train them better if even you lessen what the reward is, but you make it faster. And you can see it play out all the time. It's, with the old smartphone thing. Here I go, old man Dave. Smartphones. But, that's one reason why they're so addicting. Like, we had laptops and computers and the internet before, but this smartphone, just boom, pull it out. Brr, brr, brr. Like, the way people even try to regulate themselves is they'll put the little app in like a little folder within a folder, like, you know, a Russian egg doll or whatever. And then you have to click through to go to get it. And if you stay with that, you actually use the app way, way, way less. But it's just the quick frequency of being able to do it. And you know, that's again one of the at the heart of the problem is if, you know, you're trying to use willpower to fight your addiction. And you know, a lot of people go that route. A lot of people are under sort of the auspices of, you know what, I'm not doing this group support thing, this community thing. I ain't getting no sponsor or having someone tell me what to do, or you know what, I know what the consequences are. I know how bad it's gonna get. I'm gonna impose this on myself. Which, you know, there's, you know, some magic unicorns out there that maybe are able to do that. But honestly, if you're really an alcoholic or an addict, it's almost kind of silly to say that, because willpower is the entire problem. That's what's at the heart of this whole issue. Looking down to read notes. And, you know, another thing that because willpower, again, the super doctor scientist people, as they say, is located primarily like in the prefrontal cortex, which is one of the things that gets hijacked in addiction. You know, all the wires get torn out and people spill coffee on the keyboard and whatever. And, you know, it's basically unregulated in a sense. And it becomes very hard to, again, that you know, that real good measure of willpower is the delaying of things for a long-term thing. And that is, again, such a huge problem with addicts and alcoholics, because, you know, one of the biggest things that addicts and alcoholics have a problem with is just tomorrow. The case of the tomorrows, where it's just, tomorrow I will do this. This is the last one. Tomorrow I'm going to do this. I cannot tell you how many times I said tomorrow, as if tomorrow is this magical place where things will be different. They won't. But just tomorrow, because the whole point of that is that if I say it's tomorrow, I get the thing I want today, at this moment. Again, I want it here, now. And I know, yeah, even in, you know, being clean and sober, that issue with instant gratification still plays out. And, you know, one of the things they say that helps with, you know, shaping your willpower, I don't know, strengthening it, whatever you want to call it, just being able to actually maybe just even exercise it, is having realistic goals, like very specific, realistic goals. And, you know, one thing that, if you're trying to quit drugs and alcohol, the idea that you're not gonna, like, if you fully admitted you're an alcoholic and addict and you consume drugs and alcohol, it's gonna ruin your life. You know, then the goal in your mind is, we're never gonna get high or drunk ever again. And not only is that daunting, but in a real sense, that doesn't seem like a realistic goal. If you sit back, you're like, oh, this thing I've done so long, that I've leaned on, depended on, needed for so, we're just not gonna do it ever again, like ever. And that again goes against the ability to use any sort of willpower that you have, because it doesn't seem realistic. You know, I know one thing, the concept of the one day at a time. Just be clean and sober for 24 hours. You gotta do that. Maybe just even a couple hours. But in a way, it makes the abstinence thing a more realistic goal. We're not doing our whole life. We're just doing one day. Can we do one day? And a lot of times I don't know. Maybe we'll start with this morning. Just get through the morning. And again, it's the breaking down of doing those things that it's able to, I mean, you know, willpower is a almost kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, triggering word or something, where it's, you know, people have the idea that, like, nothing in recovery is about willpower. Nothing. If anything, you have to surrender and you have to, like, completely get rid of your will, which is, I mean, not really the case. I mean, because you have to have willingness. And I'm not going to get into semantics about what the definition of the meaning is or anything like that. But I mean, at some point, to stay clean and sober, you have to exercise, once again, the delaying of gratification, or what your reward is. And you have to even change completely what your reward is in your mind. And also, one of the big things, again, another staple of willpower, is to be able to withstand discomfort for some period of time, because it is ultimately for the good or for the better. And that is, again, once again, just totally contrary to the addict mind. Just addiction is another thing, if you want to define it in another way, is just about the obsessive aversion to discomfort, just not feeling any, whether, it's physical, mental, emotional, whatever. It is just, we're not doing this. We can't feel this discomfort. As much as I didn't like to admit it, I was just maybe over the years, and I've gotten a good tolerance to withstanding physical pain. But the truth is, if I really inspected it, my tolerance to emotional and mental sort of anguish is just not there, man. I can't do it. And even when you're running, again, you're running super low on just even your mental abilities. You're really in the fog of addiction. You've been drinking day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. You think about it though, in this funny way, you exercise willpower to get your drug and alcohol, right? Or, no, because again, when it comes back to the willpower, it's kind of about that self-regulation and all the chemicals and the little mechanisms that is hijacking that part of your brain. That is what's pushing you to do it. Honestly, I don't think I could. I guess I don't want to sell myself short, but I can barely think of anything that I would be as driven and as motivated for as I was drugs and alcohol when I was in it, when I was in the cycle. It was almost like this inhuman drive for things, truly survival. And to trying to conjure that up just of my own making without the help of chemicals and something, again, hijacking my brain, it seems impossible. But, again, if you want to think of it as sort of strengthening and aiding your sense of will, your willpower, your ability to, just say no and to keep making good decisions and keeping our eye on the prize of something long term. Because again, that addiction is a problem with tomorrow. It's a problem with dealing with the future. It's just now. To strengthen that is one thing that has been suggested in a lot of different schools of thought, regarding addiction treatment, is just the realistic goal. So you keep kind of a reward in your mind. I don't know. Anyways, hope you got something out of this video. Today's a Memorial Day in America, so happy Memorial. Okay. I'm just going to end the video.